three wide receivers I think the Steelers could possibly make a run for before the trade deadline would include Calvin Ridley, Hollywood Brown, and Brian Thomas Jr. So, Calvin Ridley, first off, he's had a pretty underwhelming season so far with the Tennessee Titans. They've definitely had some struggles, and their head coach was fired. He's working with a rookie quarterback who is still kind of trying to find his way in the NFL. This is, I believe, his third year with the Titans, and I feel like it's coming to the point where he might want a change of scenery, and they also might just want to try to start the rebuilding process. So I feel like it could be a good idea for the Steelers to try to pursue Calvin Ridley. I think he'd make a pretty solid wide receiver two option with DK at the one spot, him at the two, then Calvin Austin as the wide receiver three, and so on and so forth. I just feel like I would hope at least that his struggles could kind of end with more of a veteran quarterback at the helm. So I kind of like the idea of it. I know it's might be a long shot that he actually even does anything, but I could see that as an option for the Steelers. The second guy I was thinking of was Hollywood Brown from the Kansas City Chiefs, with Rashee Rice coming back from his 6 week suspension, and then Xavier Worthy back in the mix. They still have Thornton, I believe his name is, who's an up and coming speedster wide receiver. But they have a lot of kind of a solid group of receivers, not to mention Juju, Smith Schuster, Travis Kelce at tight end, and then their running backs, Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. But they got a lot of mouths to feed on that team, and I feel like if there is an odd man out, it doesn't seem like it's Hollywood Brown, but in my personal opinion, he's kind of what Xavier Worthy already is. So I feel like he could be someone that they could be thinking of to get rid of. I feel like with the Steelers' reputation as of recently, to be getting a lot of these defensive players who have been on the Ravens. Hollywood Brown was also a former Raven, and I feel like this could be a good situation for him to come in and kind of regain like a wide receiver two spot. Whereas right now, I feel like he's kind of borderline wide receiver three, and I just feel like the Chiefs don't really need him anymore, and he could be a good fit for the Steelers possibly, and just give him some speed. The last guy that I was thinking of was Brian Thomas Jr. He's the second year wideout for the Jags. They invested a lot in him. I mean, he was, I want to say, a second round pick for them. He might have been even better, but I feel like with Trevor Lawrence back in the picture, he's just kind of had a rough start so far. And even this last game versus the LA Rams, he's struggled a bit, and even Travis Hunter, the second, I'm almost positive he was the number two pick in the NFL draft this year. He basically took on the role as wide receiver one with the Jags and has kind of shown more chemistry with Trevor Lawrence than Brian Thomas Jr. has. So I feel like even though his chemistry with the Jags has improved as of recently. If he's unhappy with Travis Hunter kind of taking the reins as the wide receiver one, maybe that means he'd be outspoken and ask for a trade. And I do think that even though the Steelers already have a speedy wide receiver in DK Metcalf, I feel like it wouldn't hurt to have another guy opposite him. And I think Brian Thomas Jr. could really use a veteran quarterback presence. And I think it'd be nice if the Steelers targeted a guy like him who maybe has lost a little bit of his not potential, but I think he's still young enough in his career that it could come back to him. So those are what three wide receivers that nobody's really talking about that I would kind of like to see them try to make a trade for. But other guys that people brought up have been Chris Olave from the Saints, Rashid Shaheed also from the Saints. I've heard like AJ Brown or even like Jalen Waddle. So I feel like there's definitely options out there for trades. I do think like a solid wide receiver two would really make this team more complete. So we'll see what happens, but I just feel like they do need to make some sort of move to solidify themselves. So we'll see what happens, but yeah.